Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be starting our end of unit project. We're going to be scaling up a candy bar wrapper. So my example, I'm going to be using my Smarties. Each of you will have a different picture. Okay. Here is our instructions. You'll find that in our folders up in the front of the room. What you're going to do first is So with our candy bar project, anytime we're exploring a map or blueprints, we're looking at scale. Specifically, we have explored scale drawings that are based on the scale factor. If the scale factor is less than 1, the size of an object is being decreased or reduced. If the scale factor is greater than 1, the size of an object is being increased or enlarged. You're going to enlarge a candy bar so that you can find the scale factor between the regular candy bar and an enlarged candy bar. You will also find other dimensions of the two figures, including perimeter and area. So now we're going to start setting up our project. Your job today is to scale up a candy bar wrapper. Please make sure you're following each of the steps, and your materials that you need are going to be your candy bar wrapper, a big piece of paper, which we'll get after we set up the little one, a ruler, and a pencil. Okay. So here's my candy bar wrapper. Step 1 says to measure the height of your candy bar in centimeters. Write that number here. Okay, so the height of my candy bar is right here. I'm going to take my ruler. Okay, remember that the side that goes to 30 is the centimeter side. So I'm going to line that up with my picture. My picture is, notice that I'm lining up at the 0 here on the line, not the end of the ruler. Okay, we want to start where the measurements are. So when I measure this in centimeters, my height is about 2 3/4 centimeters. So I'm going to put 2.75 centimeters for my height. Next, we're going to measure the length of the candy bar in centimeters. So I'm going to turn my ruler the other way. I'm going to go from one end of the, let me move that up so you guys can see. I'm going to go from one end of the wrapper where it's tied over here all the way to this other end, which is 16.5 centimeters. Okay, I'm going to turn these two numbers into a ratio, height to length. Okay, and I'm going to put that here. So what number was my height? That was a 2.7. And my height, and my length was 16.5. So now I have the ratio 2.75 to 16.5. Okay, so now for a table. Put the ratio from step 3 in the darkened boxes in the table. Okay, here's our table down here. Okay, the height of the wrapper, again, was that 2.75. I'm going to write that here. The length of the wrapper was 16.5 centimeters. You're now going to use a calculator and you're going to double the size. So what's 2.75 times 2? You're going to put your answer here. Whatever number you have here, multiply it by 2. Put your answer underneath. You're going to do the same thing for the length. So 16.5 for me times 2, whatever the calculator says, you write it here. When you do the triple size, go back to this gray box, take that number, multiply it times 3, put your answer. Go back to the gray box, times 3, put your answer. And then you're going to also do a times 5. This is how big you're going to end up making your picture for this project. You're going to make it 5 times bigger. So you're going to go back to that gray box, whatever number you have here, times it by 5, put the answer here. Same thing with the length. Okay? So I'm going to show you my example. So I'm going to take that gray box, 2.75 times 2 is 5.5. I'm going to put 5.5 centimeters in that next box. 16.5 times 2. (33 centimeters). I'm going to do that through my whole table. I'm going to jump down to this times 5 because to show you the next step. So 2.75 times 5 is 13.75 centimeters. And my length, 16.5 times 5, is 82.5 centimeters. This last bit that we're going to do down here at the bottom is we're going to take our original wrapper, so 2.75 ratio to 16.5 ratio, and I'm going to put down times 5 for my enlargement. And what were those numbers that we got at the end? Right here. So 13.75 to 82.5 is my new ratio. Pause the video and make sure that you have everything filled in on this side. Okay, for now setting up the grid on your candy bar wrapper. We're going to draw a grid on our candy bar wrapper. We want to split the length into 8 equal pieces and the height into 4 equal pieces. You can find out where to draw these lines exactly by measuring the length of the wrapper and dividing it by 8. Now, you're going to put your ruler along the edge of the length of your image and draw 7 even tick marks. Do this on the top and the bottom. So my length of my candy bar wrapper, remember, was 16.5 centimeters, right? So I'm going to use a calculator, and I'm going to put 16.5, and I'm going to divide it by 8 because I want to know how big each section is going to be. And I end up with 2.0625. That decimal is really hard to use on a ruler because we don't have our segments that small. So I'm just going to round this to 2 centimeters for each segment. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go from the same spot that I had measured earlier. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to fit on my paper here. So I'm going to go above the picture here. Okay, and every 2 centimeters, I'm going to put a tick mark. I'm going to put one in 0 as well. Oops, that's not 2. See, I messed up. So I'm going to put an X here to remind myself not to draw a line there. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom part of that picture. So line up again, approximately with the end of my picture, and every 2 centimeters, I'm going to draw a line. Okay, and then you're going to take your ruler and just connect those 2 lines that you made all the way through the picture. Use a pencil for this because if you make a mistake, you can erase. Whereas if I make a mistake, I'm going to have to do it all over again. And I do not have enough pictures for everybody to do it all over again. So you see the one that I had made the mistake on with the X, I'm going to skip it and go to the next one. All right, and you see I have a little bit of the candy bar going past that last mark. That'll be okay. We won't be including that in our picture in the end, but it'll be close enough. All right, so when we're measuring the height, take the height at 2.75 centimeters and divide it by 4, which I equaled 0.6875. Since we don't have that number on our ruler, I'm going to round that to 0.7. Okay, so that means I'm going to use millimeters. That's the little itty bitty lines here on the ruler. So you're going to have to measure very carefully. I did that already, but I'm going to line it up with where I measured here. So I counted every 7 lines and put a little mark here. So I do not count this very first one here at the edge, but when I start moving, that's when I count to 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, little mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, little mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, little mark. And then do another 7. So now I have 4 there. I'm going to move this to the other side of my candy wrapper and do the same thing. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should end up with straight lines. If your lines look kind of crooked, you probably did a little bit of incorrect measuring. I forgot to start my line at 0 there. Okay, I had messed up over here, so I'm going to gently cross that out since I did not use a pencil, which is a big no-no. But I'm going to use the 2 marks that I did create that are accurate. Make sure that I keep my ruler still. And I'm going to draw a line all the way across the paper. Bring the ruler down and connect the next 2 points. And all the way across the picture. And you're going to do that until you get to the last one. Okay, so when you have your final picture, you should have 4 boxes going all the way through your picture and 8 boxes going all the way across. Remember with the Smarties, this is just a little bit past that where the edge of our picture is going to be, and so that's okay if a little bit is taken out. If you're missing a big chunk of your candy bar, ask for help. Raise your hand and ask me to come over to help you, okay? This is where we're going to end for today. Tomorrow we'll do the next steps.